So it was my birthday a few days ago on July 3rd. And I mentioned this in my previous video, but in case you didn't know, Franz Kafka is my birthday twin. So I thought it would be interesting if I reread Metamorphosis on my birthday. Here's the thing, how I discovered Kafka and how I discovered Metamorphosis is a very interesting story. That is what I'm going to talk about in this video. Plus, I vlogged my entire reading experience, and honestly this time it was so different than my first read of the Metamorphosis, so that is what today's video is about. Welcome back to my channel, Baby Dolls. I'm your unhinged book girly Addie at your service. So hit the subscribe button and be a part of the Unhinged Book Club. As you may or may not know, I am a thriller girly through and through.
Give me blood, murder, and trauma. I'm going to devour it.
Be it movies, series, Kdrama, or books. And I also happen to be a fan of Lee Dong-wook. I mean, do you blame me? So a few years back, one of my friends suggested that I should watch Strangers from Hell, or Hell is Other People, whatever you call it, because it is a thriller and Lee Dong-wook stars in it. So obviously I was interested. Let me first give you a brief spoiler-free synopsis of Strangers from Hell, because if you are a thriller babe like me, you are going to devour it. So the MMC in our K-drama is called Jong-woo, who is in his 20s, and he landed an internship somewhere, but he was tight on budget, so he found a very cheap dorm called Eden Studio and he decided to move in there. But when he did, he noticed mysterious occurrences happening around me, and he realized that the residents in the studio, they're not normal. Just a little warning though, it might sound very simple because of the very bad way I narrated it, but trust me, baby dolls, it's crazy. It's gory, violent, and depressing as well, so viewer discretion is advised. So there's this bad guy in the K-drama. No spoilers, so I'm not going to tell you what this bad guy does as a profession. But he was reading Metamorphosis in one of the episodes, and then he handed it to Jong-woo like it was his family inheritance, and asked him to read the book. I was intrigued by the fact that this book interested him. I was like, what is in this book that interested a... Oops, sorry, I'm gonna say that again. I was intrigued. I was like, what is in this book that interested this psycho bro? And what was the message that he was trying to deliver to Jong-woo by asking him to read this book? So I bought the book the very next day. And that's how I discovered Kafka and his Metamorphosis.
Very dramatic. I mean, obviously, it's me.
Now let me tell you in brief what Metamorphosis is actually about. Our MNC, Gregor Samsa, he wakes up one day and realizes that he has turned into an insect overnight. There is no explanation or anything. He just wakes up and realizes that he has 6 legs and a body that is non-human and antennas, and he was like, oh, this is just a normal morning. I'm just a little sick. If I rest a little bit, I'm gonna be all right. No, bro, you're not all right. You are literally a cockroach. How he will navigate his life with his state is what the story is about. It is obviously a metaphorical story, but it is also semi-autobiographical. It means that you need to actually know about Kafka's life to understand the story, because Kafka put relationship dynamics, family dynamics of his personal life into this story. It is really interesting how my reading experience was so different from the first time I read it, because the first time I read it to understand the character dynamics of the K-drama, but this time I read it to feel seen and heard, because Kafka struggled with the sense of belongingness, and so do I. I vlogged my entire reading experience, so without further yapping, let's just get straight into it.
Hey guys, it's birthday morning and I woke up like some half an hour ago, and I thought that I'm gonna start reading the book last night, but I couldn't. I had a mental breakdown as usual, so I ended up editing my July TBR video which I filmed yesterday, and hopefully I'll be able to finish editing today and I'll be able to post it by today. So I haven't started reading the book yet. I'm gonna go have my breakfast first. Then I'm gonna go feed my crow babies. Then after that, I'll start reading the book. But before I go, I want to show you guys something. I have been feeding some wild crows for a while. And yesterday, it was kind of sudden. One of the crows shed a feather and I decided to keep it. I put that feather and another feather I got while I was taking a stroll in a jewelry packet, and this is what I'm gonna use as a bookmark for reading, because I'm a certified feather collector and each one of them has like a story. This is the one that I got yesterday, this smaller one that my crow baby left for me, and I just felt like it was kind of like a birthday gift for me, so I thought it would be nice to use it as my bookmark today. So I'm gonna start reading the book after a while. My phone doesn't have much charge, but if it does, then I'll show you guys my crow babies, okay? I'm gonna see you guys in my next update. It's too sunny today, you guys. I don't really see that many birds, that's why, because it's really hot. Do you guys see that? That's a cumulonimbus, a storm cloud. I really hope it rains. Look at them fighting. Hey, Iki! What is he doing? Hey guys, I didn't read the book in the morning because I ended up having a mental breakdown, which was supposed to happen, like I said. It always happens every birthday. So I couldn't read a single page. Actually, that's not true. I did read a little bit of the introduction, which is about Kafka's life. And now it's, I think, 7:30 p.m. and I was taking a nap. I woke up a few minutes ago and now I'm gonna sit and read the book. Finally, I'm going to start reading the book. I just finished reading the introduction of the story, and the introduction is actually Kafka's life. And this man didn't have a good relationship with his father, but the underlying thing was that he had a very specific opinion about authoritarian figures. He was forced to work a 9 to 5 when all he wanted to do is immerse himself in his creative endeavors. I feel so seen when I read that. I want to do something creative in my life, but then there are people who are trying to force me into a life that I don't want, that doesn't align with me. So I really resonate with this man. Another thing that I was trying to work out was like the timeline of his work, because as you know, I studied history, so I always try to interpret literature from a historical perspective, especially classics. I was trying to read the dates when his works were published. So it was around like the First World War, and he died in 1924. Wait, when was he born? He was born in 1883, which was like Industrial Revolution. I was trying to find out like the historical significance of his writings, and there's something I found out which is pretty interesting. At least it was like interesting to me, that when his works were published, it was in the 1920s and 30s. Why is 20s and 30s important? 1920s and 30s were important because of the two world wars. We have the First World War from 1914 to 1918 and the Second World War from 39 to 45. So that is when his works were published. Most of his works were published posthumously, as you know, after he died. And Here it is said that over the course of the 1920s and 30s, Kafka's works were published and translated, instantly becoming landmarks of 20th century literature. His emphasis on the absurdity of existence, the alienating experience of modern life, and the cruelty and incomprehensibility of authoritarian power reverberated strongly with a reading public that had just survived World War I and was on its way to a second World War. I found this really interesting, maybe because I'm a history nerd, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. Hey guys, so I did a little bit of reading and I haven't finished the first chapter yet. I am currently at the part where Gregor didn't go to office because he woke up as a vermin. So chief clerk from the office came to check him to see what is wrong with him, and his parents are also there, and he spoke to them and they realized that he is speaking like an animal. That is where I am right now. I'm taking a little break from reading because I will work out now. I'll do some yoga and then some jump ropes, and then my video will premiere at 10:30 p.m. and then I'll have my dinner. And then I'll sit to read. I'll probably finish this book by tonight, but I won't be able to update you guys because I read really late at night. So I'm gonna be back with a reading update tomorrow. Hey guys, it's the next day and I couldn't do much reading last night because I ended up having yet another mental breakdown. I was bawling my eyes out while doing yoga, and then my cousin surprised me with a cake at around 10:30. So yeah, the day was weird. So it's the next day and I did finish chapter 1 yesterday and I'm at chapter 2 right now, and it's very interesting. Like, the first time I read this book, I read it solely to understand the characters in the K-drama, but since this time I am reading it from a different perspective. I'm kind of reading it for myself, like whatever that Kafka was trying to say through this book, I am getting it, you guys. And there are so many things that I am noticing for the first time. Like, for example, Kafka didn't just express his personal life and personal emotion and personal relationships through the story, but he was also talking about his work environment. The way that he's describing his work environment, his work life, it seems very capitalistic to me, and that's interesting because the book was written around 1912, I think, which is pre-First World War period, and the book was published in 1915, which was the second year of the First World War. So during that time you had capitalism in full throttle, and there was this very unhealthy kind of work environment, work ethics and stuff. So that is something I realized while reading that part where he was talking about his work life. So that was interesting. And there's another thing that I'm realizing. The more you read the book, the more sad it gets. Let's just say the book is just full of despair, okay? And the more I'm reading about the family dynamics of Gregor and thinking about how Kafka also kind of went through the same thing, I feel so bad because his family was basically dehumanizing him. Like, okay, he wasn't a human anymore and they could not understand what he was trying to say, but instead of helping him, they were dehumanizing him even more. That is so sad because your family is like the first people that you go to when you're in trouble or something is wrong. There was a scene where Gregor's father was trying to lock him in his room. That is so symbolic. It is like literally a metaphor of trying to cage someone just because they are different and they don't meet your expectations. There are so many symbolisms like this in the book, and the fact that Gregor changed, and he was so uncertain about his future, but then he also wanted to hold on to the things that were dear to him. I don't know if you're someone who, have this kind of existential dread, like spiral at 2 a.m. like I do, then you would be able to resonate with this book, really. So, yeah, that is my thoughts so far. I have read this much, around like 64% of the book. I'll definitely be able to finish this book tonight. And if I do, then I'll have to sit down and really organize my thoughts about this book, and then I'll come up with my final thoughts. And if I don't end up finishing this book tonight, then I'll be back with another update. See you guys in the next segment of my video.
I need a minute to gather my thoughts about this book. I mostly said all of the important things in my reading vlog while I was reading the book, but there are a few other things that I want to say. First of all, the story is pretty simple. There's not much plot in it. It is basically about Gregor and his family and how they were handling this predicament. What actually needs to be understood is the symbolism in the story. Like I said, it's a metaphorical story and it is existential, so it is going to make you question your whole existence. And I think what was the most unsettling was Gregor's family's reaction to his problem. It kind of makes you question, like, what if one day I wake up as a cockroach? Will my family give up on me? Will they think that I'm a burden? Will they wish that I understood them instead of them trying to understand me? And in this context, I think that the fact that Gregor could understand what his family was saying, but his family couldn't understand what Gregor was saying, was so symbolic. If you ever felt alienated, misunderstood, or unheard, then this book is for you. This book is very twisted. It won't give you hope, but it will make you feel seen. You will feel like someone who's a century apart wrote something that seems like your story. I generally read my favorite quotes from the books that I read, but for this one, I cannot read much because it would be a spoiler. So I only have two. The first one is from chapter 3, the last chapter. It says, "Who in this tired and overworked family would have had time to give more attention to Gregor than was absolutely necessary?" I know this sounds very simple, but if you know the context, it's so heart-wrenching. Like, even in that predicament, Gregor wasn't saying this out of malice, out of enmity, but he was saying this in real concern for his family. The next quote is actually my favorite. It's again from the last chapter. This is Gregor's reaction to his sister playing the violin. Was he an animal if music could captivate him so? It seemed to him that he was being shown the way to the unknown nourishment he had been yearning for. This is so, the word I think is hauntingly beautiful. Like, it's so sad, but it's so beautiful. Now, I want to briefly talk about why this book was significant in the K-drama without giving any spoilers. So, what is the main theme of this book? Isolation. Not being understood, feeling unseen, feeling unheard. So, if this message of the book is twisted enough, then it would be easier to manipulate someone into believing that they are all alone and no one gives a flying about them. And it will be easier still to turn them into something more sinister, because isolation fosters psychotic behavior in humans. That's all I'm gonna say, Your Honor. That's it for today, baby dolls. Thank you for hanging out with me. Thank you for being a friend to this loner. I yapped so much in this video, so I really appreciate you if you made it this far. If you are a regular viewer of my videos, then know that I appreciate you a lot. I never take you guys for granted. If you are new here, then please do hit the subscribe button and join the family. It would mean the world. A lot of interesting reading vlogs and bookish videos are coming, so stay tuned for it. Love you. I'm gonna see you guys in my next video. So I thought it would be interesting if I reread. I'm so sorry. And he was like, oh, this is just a normal morning. I'm sorry. It is really interesting how different my experience was. It is really interesting how different my rereading experience was. Okay.
Which is pre-Second World War. He was so uncertain about that you would be able to. And if I don't end up...
I generally read my favorite quotes from